Hello and welcome back to Ponder Policy. I just wanted to make a quick video detailing the best case scenario for Biden in the 2024 presidential matchup between him and Donald Trump. So let's just hop right into it. I think all the safe states for Biden are going to be over 15 points pretty easily in this scenario. I mean, this is assuming you wake up on election day and he had the best time he can electorally. And I think all of these states will go by safe margins, that is over 15 points for Biden. And more are going to be going to him by over 5 points, so 5 to 15 points, and they're pretty much guaranteed for him in this scenario. But I don't think they'll get up over that 15 percentage point marker, that being New Mexico, New Hampshire, Maine at large, Nebraska second, Virginia, Minnesota, and that's kind of where his pretty much guaranteed states in this scenario end off. For Trump, his safe states, his map for these are a little tighter. Nebraska's first is actually going to be a likely margin. Montana is going to be a likely margin, especially with the Senate race here, where Democrats have a strong showing regardless of win or lose. Kansas, which was a closer race in 2020, going under the 15-point margin, but also states like Missouri, Indiana, Mississippi, which all, while they went by safe margins in 2020, could narrow down a theoretical best case scenario for Biden. So those three states are going to be narrowed down. I am tentative to put states like Tennessee, Kentucky, anywhere, or Louisiana anywhere closer for the race, just because they were so heavily towards Trump in the 2020 election cycle, which is generally considered not a good climate for Republicans in this cycle. They were much safer to him in 2016. But that being said, I think the rest of these sort of safe states go by over 15 percentage points. Alaska and South Carolina are likely margins in this matchup, along with Iowa and Ohio. These two states had been swing states pretty recently, but have continued their hard shift to the right, and even in a Biden best case scenario, these aren't under 5 points. Moving on, Texas for Trump goes under 5 percentage points. This has been a Democratic hope for a long time. Democrats hoped that, wished they were able to make this an even more competitive race in 2020, but Trump won this by over 5 percentage points. Demographically, a large portion of Texas received in migration from California. Their cities and suburbs have just been growing and growing, so the liberal base here has been expanding, but generally it's still going to be going Republican just by tighter margins in this scenario. Same with Florida. Florida is interesting because Trump is going to probably win the state by a pretty sizable margin, but because Ron DeSantis and other statewide races went so strongly Republican in 2022 in the midterms, DeSantis, the governor, won the state by nearly 20 points. But polls in Florida are interesting because Trump is likely going to win by 7, 8, 9 percentage points. But you have polls anywhere from 4 to like 15, 16 points within the state, so it's kind of up in the air. There's not a huge amount of polling in Florida. We're going to call a Biden best case scenario. He gets it down to a little under 5 points in this matchup. Also, Maine's 2nd district, same case. This went to Trump by 7 points in 2020, and if it has a national shift left in this election, that could narrow up a little bit more. And pretty much the rest of the states on this map are considered the swing states of this election. And I think for starters, the Rust Belt is probably going to go to Biden by over a point each. He won Pennsylvania by over 1 point, Michigan by 2.5 points, and Wisconsin by just like a little ways under a point. But he won the Rust Belt Trio in 2020. If he were to expand on this lead nationally for whatever reason, in his best case scenario, I could see him winning all three of these states by over a point. Michigan could get up over 3 points in this map, and it's not impossible for that to happen. Same with Arizona, especially with an abortion referendum on the ballot, and Kerry Lake versus Ruben Gallego in the Senate. Kerry Lake, not a very good Republican pick in the primary in terms of electability within the state, but I think Biden could expand on his lead in this scenario from 2020, where he won the state by under a percentage point. Nevada, Biden won by 2.4 in 2020. Clinton won by the same margin in 2016. So there's no reason why in this scenario, if Biden is making even safe Republican states, narrow up slightly, why Nevada couldn't go by similar margins again. And Georgia, sort of replicating that victory for Warnock in the Senate race here, and the Atlanta metro area has grown so much. In a Biden best case scenario, if he's narrowing down Texas, Florida to these margins, Georgia might go by over a point to Biden. I don't think it would expand by any more than 2 points, but it's probably possible. North Carolina has had some crazy good polling for Trump in this election cycle. Also, you have a governor's race where Donald Trump is expected to outpace his Republican who he endorsed for the Republican governorship in the North Carolina race. But I think if you have a strong showing for the Democratic governor in this contest, and you have Biden just dump a ton of resources, demographically the state should be more Democrat than it is, but recently it's been having polls that just showed Trump up huge within North Carolina. I mean, this is a state that he won by over 3 points in 2016. It held on by over a point in 2020, and right now it's polling 4 or 5 points for Trump. So I think in an ideal case, it would still be hard for Biden to win this state, but we're just going to pretend in a Biden best case scenario that he wins this by just barely under a percentage point. And so that's map. Biden best case scenario wins by 319 to Trump's 219, and he makes a lot of states more competitive. He improves on his margins from 2020, and the only state he flips is North Carolina. But let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for watching.